Hey, welcome to today's version of The Conversation. I'm Rick Peterson, the host, and today we're coming from the Star Media Studios in downtown Laverne. This week's featured sponsor is Sunshine Foods, so be sure to stop in today and shop the wide variety of deals, and be sure to check out the Piccadilly Salad Bar. I'm joined today by two people from the Minnesota Department of Transportation, Anne Wolff and Mary Loeffler. All right, I got the names right. So good. And Anne, and your position is?
Yeah, I'm the Public Engagement Coordinator for MnDOT, the South Central District of the state.
Okay, and Mary?
Yeah, I'm a project manager, so I manage projects all across our 13-county area.
Wow, you guys got a pretty busy time frame going on, huh?
Yeah, keeps us busy.
The much talked about 75 project is on everybody's mind in Laverne. So why don't you tell us, how you got to this point, and moving forward now, the tree removal is going on as we're visiting right now, and then what's the next thing that people will start to notice?
Well, I can start with an overview of the project that we've got coming up here that's really kicked off at this point. This is a project that's been in the works as we talked ahead of this for a number of years. A big urban project like this, is in development for a solid 7 years, I would say, by the time we start it and scope it and determine what's included in the project until it gets designed and engineering design and gets to construction. So the life cycle of a project is pretty long until we see the actual work.
It's certainly
occurring.
Not in its infancy then, right?
Yeah. This has been in the works for a while, so we're equally excited for it to get started and get rolling, and for construction to really occur here. So talking a little bit about the scoping, what's included and what's not, where we arrived at for this project on 75, it is going to be a really significant pavement fix, something that'll be a very long-term fix. And when we say that, it means we're going pretty deep. So we'll be replacing the storm sewer, sanitary, and water with this project. It'll be concrete pavement through town. Some key things that kind of stand out for most folks would be two intersections that'll look different post-construction. That would be Dodge Street and Main Street. Both of those are going to configure a little different. We can get into the details, but essentially kind of widening the turning movements to better accommodate the freight and truck movements through town.
And Dodge Street's by the school.
Correct.
Yeah. And then, of course,
Main Street. Yeah.
And so by widening the intersections, what do you mean by that?
Yeah, so by widening the intersections, it gives more space for the trucks to turn. If you're familiar with the Dodge Street intersection, there is that pedestrian flasher there.
Yes.
And there is the push button for those. Yes. And those have been knocked over multiple times from trailers tracking onto them. And right now I think they're held up by like a concrete bollard. Okay. So by widening that, we give the trucks the space they need.
Will those flashers be reinstalled then?
Yes, they will. Yep.
Okay. And I did notice on the drawings, the one from Dodge Street over to, I guess would be the north side. Yes. It goes off at an angle, the position? Yep. Okay. And that's because the intersection got wider, right?
Yep. It's because the intersection got wider, and then those flashers are staying where they're at.
Okay. All right. So then on Main Street and 75, that would be a significant change. New stoplights, go lights, pedestrian crossing, I'm assuming. The flag park that we have, is that going to be moved back, or is that pretty much in the location it's in?
Yep, that'll stay where it's at.
Okay.
The things that will be impacted there are those nice planter boxes that the city installed just a few years ago. So we worked very closely with the city to redesign those, and the city hired someone to redesign them, and then MnDOT is paying to reinstall those.
And there's utility boxes that need to be moved, I assume, as well.
Yep.
So, okay. And then detours. Yeah. There's significant detouring, and two different detours based on the timeline of where the project is, and maybe giving the fair at one time, a point. So tell us a little bit about the detours that are in place.
Yeah, so the main detour will be from Main Street to North Blue Mountains Ave, and then up to 131st Street, so down by the hospital.
And that will be for most of the project?
Yes, that will be for most of the project, because Highway 75 will be closed from just north of Main Street to up by Veterans Drive, right south of the hospital.
Okay, from day one?
Yes.
Even as the phases move along, that will be closed?
Yep, it'll be closed, and there'll be some crossings still allowed.
For traffic neighborhood crossings?
Yes.
Type of thing? Okay, all right. So the project starts kind of now. When do you see the heavy construction equipment moving in and demolition of the existing stuff? When is that going to happen?
Yeah, that'll be a little bit of weather dependent and contractor dependent as well, but right now we're planning for about mid-April.
And Henning Construction is general?
Yes, they
And
are.
out of Laverne area, Adrian
Yeah,
area, so he'll be on his A game, I'm sure, and
Yeah.
so we'll all be watching.
Right, it's great to
Okay.
have someone local working
You know,
on it.
great operation, so well deserved that they got the bid, and they'll do a great job. So then the other detour by the fair, that's when this intersection at 75 in Maine is under construction.
Yes.
Then the detour changes at that time?
Yes, so while we're doing the construction at the Main Street intersection, like removing those traffic signals, redoing the pavement within that intersection itself, we can't have traffic driving through there. So that's where we move the detour down to Hadding Street to Freeman Ave,
Okay.
to Main Street, to North Blue Mounds, to 135th.
So there's parking on Blue Mound Avenue.
Yep.
Will those residents be able to continue to park?
Yes,
there?
right now we are planning for that to continue. The first month or so that the detour is in place, we'll have a lot of monitoring out there. And if there's performance or safety issues, we can reevaluate at that time.
Okay, so when you're monitoring, you have the traffic count maybe, or actual officers sitting out there watching things?
Yeah, there might be some of that. Depends on how it coordinates with the city.
Okay.
But most of it is just our construction staff continuously driving the intersection, watching for crashes, things like that.
Do you foresee the semi-traffic load maybe reshifting and avoiding Laverne as this goes on?
There's always a possibility for that. You know, unfortunately, everyone's got a little device in their hand that might tell them to go somewhere else. So it's hard to control that, and it's hard to predict where they may go. But
Okay.
it's definitely a possibility. Yeah.
What kind of questions are the locals asking you?
I think the main ones surrounding the detour that we hear about and just how to get from point A to point B. Another big question is the school, right? We've got the school right on the corridor. How will access be maintained to the school? So that's another main question.
Of the three sections, will one section be completed before the rest, or will they kind of all come together to an end at the same time?
Yeah, it's hard to know right now, but really our priority has been around how to maintain access throughout the corridor, and that's kind of why you see those different phases.
Okay, so curb, gutter, pretty much boulevard to boulevard.
Yep.
Will the actual curb and gutter be set out farther now, wider than the way it is currently?
It'll stay right about where it is
Okay.
now. There might be some minor changes, but it'll look like it does now.
I know when 75 all the way through Laverne a few years back changed from 4 lanes to center turn lane, it was somewhat controversial depending on where you. I loved it because I make a left-hand turn, and I'm so glad I'm not in holding up traffic. That's coming trying to get through town. So that will all remain the same.
Yes, it will. Yep.
Now this intersection at Main and 75.
So we'll
Okay.
have a designated left turn lane, and then straight and right will be
Very good.
in one
Okay,
lane.
because right now there's kind of a make-believe right-hand turn lane. It's not designated. so.
Yeah.
All right. So what's the biggest hurdle that you've had to accomplish so far?
I think the biggest one has been maintaining access. The school is a very high priority for us, and there's a lot of kids in and out of there, a lot of parents.
I'm assuming you work directly with the school administration?
Yes, yep, we have, yep.
Okay.
So I think that has probably been one of the biggest hurdles.
And this will run through fall, football season, traffic coming in and out to a football game. They'll have to redirect that somehow on the backside of the school?
Yep, so we have it so that Dodge Street and Cardinal Drive, so right next to the school, those intersections can't be closed while school is in session.
Okay.
So that's why when the contractor starts, they'll likely start south of Dodge Street and then north of Cardinal Drive. And then once school is out of session, they'll kind of work in that middle spot right in front of school.
And you're managing more than this project at this time?
I am, yes.
How do you keep it straight?
I have people like Anne that help me.
And we have a lot of staff in construction as a project goes from development to the construction world. Our MnDOT construction supervisors, inspectors, our whole crew will be out there as well with the contractors. So, it's definitely a team effort.
Yeah, and on a serious note, we get pretty involved in each project and working with the community, so you really get to know the community, and I don't know, I could probably name most of the streets along 75 at this point.
Will there be a central command area, office or something?
Yep.
Where will that be? Do you know yet?
I do not know right offhand. Our contractor kind of decides where they'll put that.
Okay.
And so we'll have like a job trailer there, and then the contractor will host weekly public meetings as well.
Okay. And you'll be down for some of them? Or?
I'll be down for some of them, probably not many of them. We'll have, I'm from before construction, so once construction kicks off, we have a construction engineer take over. Then
Oh, so you're
they'll
ending your
oversee.
tenure here.
I am, yes, but I'll still be involved in
Cool.
answering all
And
the
then when you do the
questions.
ribbon cutting, will you come back and do that?
I probably will, but hopefully our construction staff will be front and center. Since
And
they're
I'll
the
hold
ones
you
that-
to this date. When is that going to be? When's that completion date?
Yeah, I'm going to tell you it'll be about mid-October, weather
really?
permitting. So.
Okay. I think, it's going to be struggle. I mean,
Yeah.
there's going to be some concerns. There's going to be frustrations. Hopefully no accidents.
Yep.
But boy, it's worth the wait. It's worth the anguish to get it done and, be able to get out of town without losing your dentures. Not that you guys have to worry about that, but some people do. And so it's taken, MnDOT, even though they build highways, they move at a very slow pace.
Yep.
Not your fault.
Understood.
But you must have to answer to that a while every once in a while, huh?
We do. It's a thing called bureaucracy.
For sure. Anything else that you'd like to visit with that we didn't talk about today?
Yeah, I think that's the main gist of it all, and just reminding everyone that access will be maintained throughout construction, but just to be mindful that it's not always convenient and it's not always clean. So.
Okay, well, yeah. And so pedestrian crosswalks downtown.
Yeah.
The stoplight on a block down the road, that will still maintain. And
Yep.
so traffic could be lined up a long ways at those intersections for somebody trying to make a left-hand turn or
Yep.
a right-hand turn, because there's no turn lane on that intersection. So that will be and maintain the timing. Now, can MnDOT set how long a green light is and how long, do they adjust that as traffic flow goes through on
Yep.
this project probably
Yeah,
as well?
we do that for our signals, so that is a county/city street.
Oh, so we have to get Mr. Sayre involved in
Yeah.
that. Okay.
So we'll be monitoring it and definitely coordinating with Mark and
Okay.
Matt over at the city. And if there's adjustments that need to be made, we'll definitely work with everyone involved to make those adjustments.
Very good. I know I drive through the Main and 75 intersection several times a day.
Yeah.
I do know at 6:30 in the morning, North and South 75 gets a lot more time than I do to cross the intersection.
Yeah.
So, all right.
And there might be some altercations to that, just being that we don't have that south traffic
Okay.
coming through that intersection during
True,
construction.
yeah, okay. Well, thank you very much for taking time out of your pre-event schedule to come over and visit with us. And if you feel like it, and I would certainly invite you, standing invitation, to come back anytime during the project. And if you have another replacement or moving on, please, by all means, let them know that
thank
Star
you.
Media is their point of communications with the community, okay?
Appreciate it.
All right, good. Thank you very much. And it's
Yeah,
time to
thank
pull the pin on this conversation. And thank you so much for joining us.